Hello and welcome to Neography A to Z. On this channel, I take an analytical approach to reviewing the functionality of invented writing systems. That is, writing systems that were explicitly created, engineered, or invented for a constructed language, or to be used in place of an already existing system. I also review these systems for their aesthetic appeal in a less analytical way, but relying on decades of in-depth study and work in the field. The conlang, first published in 2004 by John Quijada, known as Ithkuil, has gone through at least 4 major iterations, and each of these has seen updates or alterations to its writing system. This review will look at these in a holistic or overview kind of way, as a proper review of each of them would likely be prohibitively long and drain the energy reserves of a small town. Be forewarned, I have only ever briefly studied Ithkuil's grammar, and I am woefully unable to properly analyze it in any substantive way, which, due to the design of the writing system, means that this review will be cursory and likely not what some folks are hoping for. I had the honor of presenting at Kopikon in September of 2023 alongside John Quijada. His presentation was intriguing, humorous, insightful, and completely inspiring. Anyone who has studied Ithkuil in the slightest of ways will realize rather quickly that the language itself is fascinatingly complex, very intricate, and unique. The writing systems developed to represent Ithkuil are no less complex. Now we'll take a look at functionality. Ithkuil and its writing system have gone through a few iterations since first being put online, but in all of them, the script has been morphophonemic. That is, the individual characters do not simply convey phonetic or phonological information, but also convey grammatical information, more specifically, morphological information. Some online reviews have referred to the writing system as logographic, but this is not accurate. It is also very much not an alphabet, although it does have alphabetic aspects to it. Being morphophonemic, it incorporates aspects of both logographies and alphabets. Unlike most logographic systems, though, there is no rebus principle used in Ithkuil. The Ithkuil script is written in horizontal boustaphedron lines or in a zigzag manner. There are 65 consonants, 17 vowels, and 7 tones. The samples you see on screen are from an older version, first presented online in 2009. Here we see a breakdown of a sentence in Ithkuil. Take note that there are only 6 characters to the 13 English words. This morphophonemic compactness is what sets Ithkuil apart from all other writing systems. While Ithkuil is not a direct contrast to Tokipona, they do share the trait of being thought experiments in complexity. This is reflected mostly in the lexicon and grammar of each, but is also very apparent in the systems of writing. The phrase in Ithkuil to the left of the screen would have in Tokipona likely been no fewer than 20 words, which, due to using a logographic writing, would have also been approximately 20 symbols. It may have actually been more. Ithkuil's grammar informs the writing system and is highly inflectional. This is where Tokipona is not, relying mostly on context. This is why Ithkuil sets itself apart in its complexity and nuance. The paragraph on screen is from the latest description page of the Ithkuil script. Quote, "This morphophonemic principle can be illustrated by the following simple and crude analogy using Roman characters. Suppose the past tense written form of the verb go in English were go, pronounced went, where the diagonal bar through the vowel letter conveys a change from present to past tense. This would be an example of a morphophonemic script, where the characters convey whatever phonetic information cannot be predicted, but where predictable forms, e.g., an English speaker's knowledge that the past tense form of go is went, are conveyed by a symbol or graphic modification indicating the intended morphological change only, e.g., change the verb to past tense, without any graphic representation of the phonetics of the resulting word itself." End quote. The handy chart that you see on screen is sort of a representation of the above paragraph. However, This brief description barely does the concept any justice, but as you can see, the grammatical and semantic layers of Ithkuil dictate the writing and formation of all the glyphs. This image shows specification, context, relation, and concatenation status on a primary character. The base symbol for any morpheme is an upper left to lower right diagonal stroke. These are modified by dozens of secondary, tertiary, and even quaternary marks to specify the morpheme. This chart shows perspective and extension on a primary character. The 4 perspectives and 6 extensions are marked by modifying the upper left portion of the base stroke. This figure shows configuration, affiliation, and essence on a primary character. The 10 configurations are marked as separate symbols on the lower left quadrant of the morphemic glyph, while the 4 affiliations and 2 essences are marked as separate symbols in the upper right quadrant of the morphemic glyph. This figure shows stem, function, version, and plexity on a primary character. The 4 stems, 2 functions, 2 versions, 2 plexities, and a partridge in a pear tree are marked by modifying the lower right portion of the base stroke. And plexity, because I had to look it up, is a 3-way distinction, apparently, as to whether an entity, event, act, or state is single or internally unified, is binary or two-halved in nature, or has 3 or more components, pieces, parts, or members. This figure shows secondary characters. The 28 forms seen are the core characters, whose top and bottom ends take extensions in order to prefix or suffix additional consonants. Note that the handwritten forms of both primary and secondary characters have their diagonal segments curved, inward or outward, so that there are no diagonal endpoints, only vertical or horizontal endpoints. A tertiary character is a composite character placed after all secondary characters. It indicates valence, phase, effect, level, and not 2, not 4, not 8, not even 12, but 36 unholy aspects. On screen are the quaternary characters, which are placed immediately after the tertiary characters. Go figure. It is used for displaying case, illocution and validation, as well as mood and case scope. The symbols on screen are placed before and after a phrase to mark various registers. Each register has 4 modes. The first indicates register only, while the second mode indicates a proper name or foreign word and phrase. These are written alphabetically. There are also transcriptive and transliterative symbols. The marks on screen are used for vowels, shown above the character for a preceding vowel or under the character for a following vowel, somewhat similar to the way abugida diacritics are used. The placeholder character is for when a standalone vowel occurs. 2 vowel conjuncts, including diphthongs, can be made by superimposing the first vowel diacritic on the placeholder character and underposing the second diacritic below it. To show a single vowel between 2 single consonants, you can use the placeholder character with the 2 consonant extensions at the top and bottom. Then you include the vowel diacritic placed along the right side of the character. Now we'll go over the aesthetics. The complexity of Ithkuil's grammar, and that grammar thereby informing the graphemic shapes, has led to a system that frankly feels overwhelming. The resulting symbols are far too similar to be read rapidly, at least by a novice, and I would imagine even an intermediate reader. There are, though, online generators that seem to approximate the script fairly well. There is no possible way to deny the genius in the design of this script. Specificity and subtlety are rare in conlangs, and especially in neographies. However, the primary issue with this system is its obvious lack of practicality. John Quijada's work has spanned decades and multiple iterations. This dedication and acquisition of knowledge, comprehension, and understanding in and of itself is worthy of admiration. As for the writing system, though, it seems, to me anyway, that the desire for complexity and novelty got in the way of aesthetics and utility. What you see on screen is a Kinder Egg warning that was translated into Ithkuil. Superficially, this looks like it could easily have been an abugida or maybe even an impure abjad, until one tries to parse the romanization and link it to the glyphs. In my humble opinion, these glyphs would be more visually appealing if they were somehow combined, creating an almost tangut-like appearance. I believe the grammatical and morphemic complexity would still be possible, but it would look quite a bit less like various forms of sevens and s's. As we can see on screen, the iterations of Ithkuil had a few years of beauty sandwiched by what I think of as sort of what a computer might have created. The elaksh glyphs, while being no less morphosemantically complex, had the benefit of being aesthetically pleasing in a way that the earlier and subsequent scripts simply cannot match. Fans of Ithkuil are not as numerous as, say, Tokipona or Esperanto fans, but they are no less committed. On the left you see a tattoo on a forearm. The intended transcription was apparently meant to be phonemic, but apparently the incorrect vowel mark was chosen. I'm still not clear on what the meaning was supposed to be, and it's probably very personal. On the right, we see someone's attempt to write an Ithkuil phrase in sort of a cursive, pseudo-calligraphic manner, maybe, I guess. Anyone who's studied Ithkuil can say for sure, but just by looking at it myself, it appears the phrase might have been completely distorted by this attempt. Regardless, even the cursive version is clunky looking. During my research, I wasn't able to find any products on Etsy or Amazon, except for the book, obviously, published by John Quijada himself, but on Redbubble, I was able to find a Minecraft sticker and an Ithkuil logo sticker. These may or may not have been authorized by Mr. Quijada, but if they're online, there must be a market for them, I guess. I give the Ithkuil system an overall rating of 4 out of 5 for functionality and 2 out of 5 for aesthetics. I'm not sure if the image for thank you is accurate, as I used an online generator to make it. Also, I am ill-equipped to correctly pronounce that phrase, but I think it's Auspal Uchu To Mial. I think Ithkuil could have been amazing if it had remained or maybe modified the elaksh version of the writing system, but I do admire the dedication and the specificity with which John Quijada has worked on this script, and the sheer amount of time that he has put into it is absolutely insane. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Ithkuil. I'd like to hear what you think of the script, or maybe just the language itself. Next time, we will be going over a collection of sci-fi ciphers that have been seen in some shows and movies, so be sure to click the bell button to be notified when the next episode is posted. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I very much appreciate your time and thank you for watching. As a note, all relevant links used in the making of this video are in the description. All information is the property of its creators and is openly available online.